Hey guys, this is Jay. Last on the list is the 2011 Hydroboost upgrade. This is a little bit different than the other ones because this is actually a GM factory part. It's just from a 2011 model Duramax instead of replacement from my 2002. Apparently, even though this is largely the same on the outside, of course the mounting pattern is exactly the same, so is the master cylinder and everything, so it's a direct drop-in. But there are internal differences that improve braking power and more importantly the feel at the pedal. My brakes are very strong right now, especially when I'm not towing anything, but under heavy braking the pedal can get mushy. Even though the brakes are plenty powerful to stop what I'm pulling, the pedal's not super confident. So hopefully this will fix that. In comparison to the stock unit, there are hardly any differences except for this return line is in a slightly different position, but that shouldn't be enough to cause any problems. And the main thing that you have to be aware of when you're doing this swap is the size of this bore here for the brake light switch. If they are a different size, particularly if the new one is smaller, you need to enlarge this one to match the factory size, because if that pin is too tight in this hole, it will not trigger the brake light switch properly and you won't be able to get the truck out of park. But beyond that, it just goes right in the same way the old one came out. And I'm looking forward to share how much better the braking feel is. Actually, one more thing to note about this, the studs that the master cylinder mounts on, they thread into the Hydroboost with left-handed thread. So one thing you can do whenever you're trying to install the master cylinder is you can remove these studs from the Hydroboost, and apparently they actually come a little bit loose here, so that should just thread right out pretty easily. And so that will allow you to just butt the master cylinder up to the Hydroboost without having to bend brake lines to get them over these studs. And then you of course turn it left to tighten it into the Hydroboost, and the tightening of the nut on the back side of it will also draw the stud in tight. Controversially, whenever you're loosening these, you need to be careful because loosening the nut will also loosen this stud. So even though it is threaded into the Hydroboost, you'll have to put a wrench on the back side of it. And the back is 13 millimeters and the nut on the front is 15. Up here, the Hydroboost went in pretty much just like the old one came out. The only issue we had was that evidently on the way out, one of the studs on the old Hydroboost kind of scored the hole in the firewall a little bit. And so the stud on the new one wouldn't go through, so we had to put a step drill in there and just kind of clean up that hole a little bit. But once we did, it went right in just like the factory one. I hope I can get this in view for you guys, but probably the trickiest part about removing the Hydroboost is figuring out how to get that clip there off of the pin in the brake pedal that actuates the plunger on the Hydroboost and also the brake light switch. Well, I was going to try to explain that in the truck, but I figured it would make more sense to just do it in CAD here so you guys can see better what this pin and clip setup looks like. So this pin right here is mounted to the brake pedal, and the brake light switch actually rides over this as well as that little plunger on the Hydroboost. And this clip right here, this isn't exactly what it looks like, but the functions that I've modeled in are representative of what you'll have to do to get the clip off. So this clip is what retains that whole stack of things onto this pin. So if I turn on a section analysis, you can see how there is a groove cut in the pin, and this clip is actually holding it in place. And so what you'll have to do to remove it is get a screwdriver between this clip and the nose of the pin, and you'll pry this out to where this catch is not under the diameter of the pin, and then you can lift it up like that, which will get the pin into the larger diameter opening on the clip, and then the clip just slides forward and off. And so to put it back on, this is actually a pretty tight spring, so you'll have to push on this clip pretty hard to get this spring to flex out far enough for you to get the pin through this hole in the clip far enough for it to slide down on the slot. But just persistence is the key here. You just got to push on it probably harder than you think you need to, and then as you're doing that, try to pull down on the clip and it'll snap in place just like that, and that's all you have to do. Alright, well, I came over to the parking lot of the local elementary school, and I think this is a good place to show you just how sensitive and immediate these brakes are with this new Hydroboost. So I'm going to put the camera down on my foot as I'm on the brake pedal, so you can see just how little brake input it takes to stop the truck. So the truck is rolling and it stopped. As you can see by the camera shaking, that's a pretty aggressive stop. Just like that. And the pedal, I mean, it is a Hydroboost, so you can push through it, but it is very firm and very immediate. I mean, this is a night and day difference from the previous Hydroboost. So let me get going to 10 miles an hour here. So there's 10, and I'm going to stop at the stop sign. Actually, it's 15, so just like that, truck is stopped. I mean, these brakes are so much more capable than they were with the old Hydroboost. I mean, it's much more confidence inspiring, especially when towing, but I mean, just regular driving, the pedal is so much more responsive to what you're doing with your foot, and it really complements all these steering upgrades as well. Well, I hope that testing here in the parking lot showed you just how much more responsive this 2011 Hydroboost is as compared to the old one. Unfortunately, I don't have any footage of the old one, but I can assure you that the brakes were nowhere near that touchy and immediate. I mean, you do have some getting used to for this new Hydroboost, but it's not a bad thing because it is so much better. I mean, it was, though I was used to how kind of spongy and delayed the old pedal was, I'm so pleased that is gone, because it did get scary sometimes. I mean, having a heavy load on a trailer behind me, I mean, I had to push the pedal very, very hard to the point where it was very spongy, you know, and it was not a linear response anymore. You know, you're pushing the pedal further and the truck's not necessarily stopping any harder, but that is much improved with this. I mean, again, it is a Hydroboost, so it's not going to get rock solid like a regular vacuum boosted brake system will, but they're very much stronger and more firm than the old setup. So yep, I appreciate you watching all these videos, and as always, thanks for watching, and remember, if it's smoking, it's broken.